Hello again, still in Geometry, Unit 1, Section 1-9. This is video 3 of 5 on calculating perimeter, circumference, and area of various figures. In particular, right now we're going to work with a circle. So we're going to calculate the circumference of a circle, which is 2 times pi times the radius, or also pi times the diameter works, because 2 times the radius is the diameter. And then the area formula being pi times the radius squared. So with our first circle, we have a radius of 5 centimeters. So right here, this is the radius, 5 centimeters. So to calculate circumference, we're going to do 2 times pi times the radius. And in this case, 2 times pi times the radius is 5. And let's recall that multiplication is commutative. We can change the order as long as we're doing all multiplication. Right now it says 2 times pi times 5. So I'm going to first handle the multiplication that I can do mentally. 2 times 5. 2 times 5 gives me a value of 10. So right now I'm going to write 10 pi. And I'm going to pause right there and I'm going to go up to the directions up here where it says write your result in terms of pi. What we just did was we wrote what's called an exact value. It's an exact answer. There's no rounding. If you think multiplying by pi, pi is equivalent to 3.1415, lots of decimals, goes on forever. It's actually an irrational value. Fun fact, there is a computer at MSU right now that's been calculating values of pi for 20 plus years. That's all it does. I don't know where I come up with this stuff, but it's true. So anyways, this is an exact value, 10 pi. And we're also measuring a circumference, which is a distance around the circle. So this would actually be 10 pi centimeters. Again, what we just did was we wrote a result in terms of pi. Now you can also write results as approximations. So if you didn't want an exact answer, you could take 10 and multiply it by the pi button on your calculator. Or you can multiply it by 3.1415. All of those would work totally fine. So if I'm multiplying 10 by pi's equivalent, roughly 3.14 is usually where most people go on the decimal for pi. So 10 times 3.14 would give us a total of 31.4 approximately centimeters. Now there's downfalls to the approximation because obviously it's not an exact answer, but there are also pros because you don't have to write the pi symbol. Most of the material is going to ask you to keep your answer in terms of pi. So get used to not multiplying that pi value. Okay, let's travel to the area. So if I'm calculating the area of a circle, I'm going to take pi and I'm going to take the radius and I'm going to square that. So the radius here is 5. So I'm going to do 5 squared, which is 25. And again, I want to write my answer in terms of pi. So I'm going to leave this as 25 pi. I'm not going to multiply the pi out because I want an exact answer. Again, these directions mean exact result, no approximations. And we're measuring an area, so this is going to be 25 pi centimeters squared. There's my answer in terms of pi. And again, if it didn't say in terms of pi, you could take 25, multiply it by pi, and get that rough decimal equivalent. Okay, for part B, the only thing I want to talk about, because I think you guys can handle this from here on out, just make sure that if you're given the diameter, notice on this question I was given the diameter at 42, you're well aware that the radius is half of that, so the radius you would use is 21 centimeters. You can use 42 to come up with the circumference, because you can do pi times diameter, so the circumference would be 42 pi centimeters. But just be well aware when you're calculating that area, the value you're going to use is 21, not 42.